The tools I'm going to share with you today are some of the most important tools I teach. Let me tell you why. So many people are suffering with chronic physical or mental ailments and have been taught or told that medication is their only option. But I've seen multiple clients be able to discontinue medications that they thought they would never go off of. From my family doctor client who was able to finally get off anxiety meds he'd been taking for years, to my stay-at-home mom who was actually released from treatment by her rheumatologist because her numbers and symptoms improved so dramatically over the course of our work together. We know now that there is overwhelming scientific evidence between the mind-body connection, but I want to be clear that there is no magic button you can push to just turn off things or cure yourself of your anxiety, of your chronic pain. And I also want to be clear that I'm a big proponent of a both-and approach. I absolutely see that there are times when medication should be a tool in your toolkit. But what I can say is that the more your mind, body, spirit realizes it has the capacity to be with what is, and the more of a toolkit you grow to process emotion in a healthy way, the less internal havoc you create in your system. And that has physical and mental benefits that are real and tangible. In other words, the word alignment is really key to what I do in my mindfulness work. That over time, mindfulness helps us bring alignment to mind, body, and spirit, and alignment to the way we're engaging with life itself. And when that happens, life starts to work for us instead of against us. And we find a flow that has a lightness and ease to it. And different aspects of our lives start to heal or fall into an alignment that simply serves. But the key to finding this kind of flow is behind a skill that is easy to overlook. And that is the skill of self-compassion. Before you can start to experience any of the almost miraculous healing that can happen on this path, you have to take yourself on in the way you talk and relate to yourself. As silly as it may seem to you, it's really serious business. And while I think self-compassion is a challenge for all of us, if you've been through betrayal or spiritual trauma, self-compassion can feel especially hard. Not because you don't want to be kind to yourself, but because somewhere along the way, you might have learned that compassion meant weakness, self-indulgence, or even disobedience. Maybe you were taught to rise above, or that to forgive others or trust others quickly was a marker of faith or worthiness. Or you were taught to focus on getting yourself back in line with the authority figure instead of honoring what actually happened. If that resonates, you're not broken and you're not failing at healing. Today, I want to talk about what self-compassion really is, why it often feels inaccessible, especially after betrayal or spiritual harm, and how to gently begin rebuilding it in a way that's grounded, embodied, and safe. Why is self-compassion so hard after trauma? After betrayal trauma, especially by a partner, community, or spiritual authority, the nervous system learns a powerful lesson. It's not safe to trust myself. And in spiritual trauma, compassion was often conditional. You were worthy if you believed the right things, loved if you behaved correctly, accepted if you didn't question too much. So when people say, just be kind to yourself, your system might hear, ignore your anger, bypass your grief, or spiritualize your pain. True self-compassion is not bypassing. It's not excusing harm, and it's definitely not forcing forgiveness. Real compassion begins with honesty. So that's takeaway number 1 today. There is no compassion without honesty. You have to allow yourself to feel what you feel. I also want to name here that sometimes people who find themselves betrayed realize that they might be overly compassionate with other people and not compassionate enough with themselves. We might find ourselves allowing those around us to cross boundaries, take advantage of us, or ask too much of us, and struggle to say no. This is a really common pattern, and it comes from a beautiful impulse. It's the impulse to care, and that's beautiful. For those of us who are wired this way, this intuitive, caring nature is one of our gifts to give the world. But I have to name that this gift goes sideways when it's out of balance. One of the most important lessons we must learn is to show the same care for ourselves that we show to others. That's what brings our caring heart into alignment, where the gift of it can flow and create beauty instead of chaos, entitlement, or resentment. We have to learn to include ourselves in our own circle of care. Otherwise, it's not true compassion. It's a sideways version that's actually more like codependence than care. It's crucial, not only to our relationships, but there's increasing evidence that this trait has real, tangible health consequences as well. This trait of offering care to others, but ignoring or overlooking the care for ourselves. If you're familiar with the work of Dr. Gabor Mate, check out my video on how unresolved trauma impacts our health. There's some very compelling research on this. So that's takeaway number 2. Real compassion includes compassion for yourself, and that might be a new muscle to flex. Now, I love how one of my mentors, Tara Brach, describes compassion as a willingness to be present with suffering. And if you've been following me, you know how important presence is. But how do we do this? What does it mean to be present with suffering? Being present with our suffering means bringing ourselves back to the present moment and making space for what's there, without trying to explain it, escape it, or wish it away. I find this is often a completely new skill set for the people I work with. One simple way to think about this is to focus on the what, not the why. For example, let's say you have some sort of conflict with a family member. Somebody made a comment that felt like a slight to you, and you find yourself spinning in your head, fixating on the situation for days. What does self-compassion look like here? First, become mindful of what's happening inside of you, the what, not the why. I'm feeling off. It's the what, not the why. Try not to get sucked into why you feel off or who did what and whose fault it was. Just name what's happening inside of you. I'm feeling off. Second, bring it into your body. Many people try to build self-compassion cognitively through affirmations or mindset shifts, but trauma lives in the body. So you can say nice things to yourself as many times as you want, and it's not going to make any difference if your body is not absorbing the message. If your body is tense, guarded, or collapsed, telling yourself, I love myself, can feel hollow or even unsafe because it feels like lying to yourself. So instead, we work with somatic compassion. Place a hand on your chest or belly. Notice your breath without changing it. Say quietly, this is hard and I'm here. Feel where it feels hard in your body. Maybe there's tightness in your chest or your stomach feels nauseous. Just feel it in your body. This is hard, and I'm here. That's it. No fixing, no reframing. As Eckhart Tolle teaches, presence itself is healing. When you stay with what's here without resistance, something begins to soften on its own. Third takeaway, let compassion be imperfect and honest. Self-compassion after betrayal often includes ugly feelings and thoughts. Anger, grief, confusion, distrust, rage, boundaries that feel unspiritual to your old conditioning, and that's okay. Compassion and presence doesn't mean you're calm all the time. It means you're honest with yourself about what's here, without shaming your experience. You can say, I'm not ready to forgive. I don't trust yet. I'm still angry, and that makes sense. Your honesty is compassion. And honoring your true feelings without judging them or excusing them will help you rebuild trust with yourself, which is the most important relationship you have to rebuild right now. If self-compassion feels awkward, forced, or even threatening right now, I want you to know that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your system learned survival before safety, and compassion isn't something you demand from yourself. It's something you practice, one moment at a time, with patience and with a lot of grace. If this topic resonated with you, you might also find my video on how to calm your body during emotional triggers really supportive. I'll link it below. And if you're walking a deeper path after betrayal or spiritual trauma, I share guided practices and teachings every week here on my channel, and I have a year-long mentorship. Check it out in my resources below. You're not behind, you're not broken, and you don't have to force your healing. Just keep showing up, one day at a time.